Crocodile lives around 10 years. Alligator lives around 10 years. Komodo dragon lives around 5 years. Monitor lizard lives around 8 years. Chameleon lives around 1 year. Iguana lives around 4 years. Gecko lives around 2 years. Anole lives around 1 year. Basilisk lives around 2 years. Skink lives around 3 years. Garter snake lives around 2 years. Boa constrictor lives around 10 years. Python lives around 10 years. Cobra lives around 5 years. Rattlesnake lives around 5 years. Viper lives around 5 years. Anaconda lives around 10 years. Salamander lives around 5 years. Axolotl lives around 5 years. Newt lives around 2 years. Frog lives around 1 year. Toad lives around 2 years. Caecilian lives around 5 years. Gila monster lives around 10 years. Horned lizard lives around 5 years. Clownfish lives around 3 years. Angelfish lives around 3 years. Betta fish lives around 2 years. Goldfish lives around 5 years. Koi lives around 10 years. Catfish lives around 1 year. Eel lives around 6 years. Piranha lives around 3 years. Barracuda lives around 2 years. Grouper lives around 5 years. Mackerel lives around 2 years. Tuna lives around 3 years. Salmon lives around 3 years. Trout lives around 3 years. Sturgeon lives around 6 years. Seahorse lives around 1 year. Swordfish lives around 3 years. Shark lives around 5 years. Great whale shark lives around 15 years. Hammerhead shark lives around 5 years. Whale shark lives around 15 years. Dolphin lives around 10 years. Orca lives around 15 years. Blue whale lives around 20 years. Humpback whale lives around 20 years. Eagle lives around 10 years. Falcon lives around 5 years. Hawk lives around 5 years. Vulture lives around 10 years. Owl lives around 8 years. Penguin lives around 6 years. Flamingo lives around 10 years. Parrot lives around 10 years. Macaw lives around 15 years. Cockatoo lives around 10 years. Sparrow lives around 2 years. Robin lives around 2 years. Blue jay lives around 4 years. Cardinal lives around 3 years. Hummingbird lives around 2 years. Kingfisher lives around 4 years. Peacock lives around 10 years. Crane lives around 10 years. Stork lives around 12 years. Swan lives around 10 years. Duck lives around 2 years. Goose lives around 5 years. Heron lives around 7 years. Albatross lives around 15 years. Cormorant lives around 6 years. Pheasant lives around 3 years. Quail lives around 2 years. Roadrunner lives around 4 years. Raven lives around 10 years. Crow lives around 7 years. Magpie lives around 3 years. Woodpecker lives around 4 years. Osprey lives around 7 years. Condor lives around 20 years. Tern lives around 5 years. Ibis lives around 8 years. Kiwi lives around 10 years. Lyrebird lives around 8 years. Nightingale lives around 2 years. Puffin lives around 5 years. Secretary bird lives around 10 years. Shoebill lives around 10 years. Starling lives around 2 years. Sunbird lives around 2 years. Toucan lives around 5 years. Weaselbird lives around 4 years. Waxwing lives around 3 years. Warbler lives around 2 years. Wren lives around 2 years. Zebra finch lives around 2 years. Fox lives around 3 years. Moose lives around 15 years. Elephant lives around 50 years. Lion lives around 12 years. Deer lives around 4 years. Zebra lives around 20 years. Tiger lives around 10 years. Bear lives around 20 years. Giraffe lives around 25 years. Cheetah lives around 10 years. Leopard lives around 12 years. Wolf lives around 6 years. Bison lives around 15 years. Kangaroo lives around 10 years. Koala lives around 10 years. Panda lives around 20 years. Gorilla lives around 35 years. Chimpanzee lives around 33 years. Orangutan lives around 35 years. Capybara lives around 7 years. Antelope lives around 10 years. Bafakalo lives around 11 years. Chinchilla lives around 8 years. Fossa lives around 15 years. Jackal lives around 8 years. Meerkat lives around 6 years. Ocelot lives around 7 years. Platypus lives around 10 years. Wombat lives around 5 years. Lemur lives around 15 years. Sloth lives around 16 years. Armadillo lives around 12 years. Raccoon lives around 2 years. Otter lives around 8 years. Badger lives around 4 years. Skunk lives around 3 years. Beaver lives around 10 years. Hedgehog lives around 3 years. Porcupine lives around 5 years. Aardvark lives around 10 years. Boar lives around 10 years. Camel lives around 40 years. Caribou lives around 6 years. Dingo lives around 5 years. Hyena lives around 12 years. Llama lives around 15 years. Lynx lives around 10 years. Mink lives around 3 years. Okapit lives around 20 years. Quokka lives around 5 years. Sperm whale lives around 20 years. Manatee lives around 10 years. Dugong lives around 10 years. Sea lion lives around 5 years. Walrus lives around 5 years. Seal lives around 5 years. Octopus lives around 1 year. Squid lives around 6 years. Cuttlefish lives around 1 year. Jellyfish lives around 1 year. Starfish lives around 1 year. Sea urchin lives around 3 years. Sea cucumber lives around 5 years. Coral lives around 1 year. Lobster lives around 5 years. Crab lives around 1 year. Shrimp lives around 1 year. Krill lives around 1 year. Butterfly lives around 2 years. Praying mantis lives around 6 months. Firefly lives around 2 months. Ladybug lives around 1 year. Scorpion lives around 2 years. Tarantula lives around 5 years. Tick lives around 1 year. Mite lives around 1 month. Earthworm lives around 1 year. Slug lives around 6 months. Leech lives around 2 years. Pangolin lives around 4 years. Tarsia lives around 3 years. Narwhal lives around 20 years. Nile crocodile lives around 95 years. Pacific Ocean perch lives around 98 years. American lobster lives around 100 years. Japanese spider crab lives around 100 years. White sturgeon lives around 104 years. Freshwater pearl mussel lives around 110 years. Aldabra giant tortoise 120 years. Mediterranean spur-thighed tortoise lives around 125 years. Rough-eye rockfish lives around 140 years. Geoduck lives around 150 years. Lake sturgeon lives around 152 years. Galapagos tortoise lives around 170 years. Orange roughy lives around 175 years. Bowhead whale lives around 200 years. Red sea urchin lives around 210 years. Quahog calm lives around 225 years. Giant tube worm lives around 250 years. Greenland shark lives around 270 years. Giant tube sponge lives around 2,000 years. Coral reef lives around 4,000 years. Turritopsis dohrnii lives around forever years. Mayfly lives around 24 hours. Drone ant lives around 3 days. Male mosquito lives around 1 week. House mouse lives around 1 year. Panther chameleon lives around 1 year. Mole lives around 3 years. Dragonfly lives around 4 years. Bed bug lives around 6 years. Moon jellyfish lives around 8 to 12 years. Pigeon lives around 5 years. Guinea pig lives around 7 years. Honeybee lives around 8 years. Dumbo octopus lives around 5 years. Red panda lives around 7 years. Opossum lives around 8 years. Hen lives around 9 years. Kangaroo lives around 10 years. Hummingbird lives around 12 years. Cheetah lives around 12 years. Brush-tail possum lives around 13 years. Dog lives around 13 years. Tiger lives around 15 years. Cat lives around 17 years. Platypus lives around 17 years. Polar bear lives around 20 years. Lion lives around 14 years. Cow lives around 21 years. Queen ant lives around 20 to 30 years. Giraffe lives around 25 years. Grizzly bear lives around 30 years. Bald eagle lives around 32 years. Giant panda lives around 35 years. Horse lives around 40 years. Camel lives around 40 to 50 years. Common goldfish lives around 40 years. Orangutan lives around 45 years. Andean condor lives around 50 years. Licon albatross lives around 55 years. Tuatara lives around 60 years. Longfin eel lives around 60 years. Macaw lives around 67 years. Human lives around 70 to 80 years. Olm lives around 69 years. African bush elephant lives around 60 years. Great white shark lives around 70 years. Orca lives around 75 years. Gray whale lives around 77 years. Kakapo lives around 80 years. European eel lives around 88 years. Blue whale lives around 90 years.